What if I told you there are 3 ETFs out there that are paying over 10% in dividends annually? And the best part is you can have exposures to some of the best tech titans out there like Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, and the cool thing is, one of these ETFs has done about 58% since inception. And so what we're going to be talking about today are 3 great covered call ETFs, as in QQQI, JEPQ, and GPIQ. These ETFs are going to be some of the best covered call ETFs that you can buy and hold and have great dividend income every single month annually. Alright, let's get to it. Hey guys, my name is Steve and I run the Frugal Expat website where we try to help people to save more and invest better. And today we're going to be breaking down 3 of the best covered call ETFs on the market. They're giving you over 10% annually in dividends. They have great price appreciation and they give you exposure to the NASDAQ 100 index. Now, these ETFs are going to be some of the best out there, so that's why we're talking about them. And one of them could be one you could add to your portfolio. So let's get to it and let's start breaking down these great ETFs. ETF number 1 is going to be QQQI. Now, QQQI is the NEOS NASDAQ 100 covered call ETF. This ETF is all about maximizing that income. Now, QQQI has a dividend yield of about 13.67%. So if we invested $10,000 into QQQI, we would get about $1,367 annually, and it would be broken up monthly, so we would get monthly distributions from this ETF. Now, this ETF is going up and down depending on the market, and it does really great with sideways markets when the market is going up and down, but not too far up and not too far down. So that means you are maximizing income, and this yield has ranged anywhere between 12 to almost 15%. So you never know what the monthly income could be, but it's a good ETF to buy and hold. Now, what they do is they use a 1256 option strategy, so they are selling covered calls on most of these assets, and they are giving you 60% long-term capital gains and 40% with short-term capital gains. And what some of these returns are going to be return on capital. But QQQI is a great ETF that is surging on the market, and this is something that you guys can buy and hold for the long term. Now, some goods and bads to this is one of the things is it's got a high expense ratio, 0.68%, which means it costs about $68 for every $10,000 invested. It's the most expensive ETF on this list, but it's also got some great high yields for us income looking people. So if you're looking for some income in your retirement portfolio or even just income in everyday life, this is a great income producing ETF that can be buy and held in your portfolio. ETF number 2 is JEPQ. JEPQ is the JP Morgan NASDAQ Premium Income ETF. Now, this ETF does track the NASDAQ 100 just like QQQI. It's got an expense ratio of 0.35%. So it means it costs about $35 for every $10,000 invested, so it's much cheaper than QQQI. Now, the only difference between JPQ and QQQI is the way they do covered call strategies. Now, with their covered call strategy, they sell ELNs, which is a way they can be able to kind of adjust the strike prices and be a little bit more flexible in their covered call options. Now, the problem with this is all the income is going to be taxed at an ordinary rate, not like the 60/40 with QQQI. That's okay if you're looking for a good dividend ETF or a good one that's doing a 10 to 12% yield. Now, with JPQ, the yield is sitting at about 11.09%, which means if you invested $10,000, that means you're going to get about $1,109 every single year, and it's going to be broken up monthly. Now, with this ETF, it has been around the longest on this list. It's been around since 2022, and it's got about $29 billion in assets under management. The cool thing is, since inception, it has averaged about 16.7% annually per year. Now, that doesn't mean that every single year it's going to be the best. That doesn't mean it's going to have some good price appreciation. Right now, year to date, the price appreciation of JEPQ is sitting at about negative 1.77%, which is the worst on this list. Now, it's got a total return of about 5.42%, which is not so good. But like I said, since its inception, it's done about 16.7% annually. So that's something to think about. Now, some people may like JEPQ because it's ran by JP Morgan. JP Morgan is a pretty established company compared to NEOS from QQQI. NEOS has been around for 3, maybe 4 years, hasn't been around as long as JP Morgan. So people find the trust in JP Morgan over NEOS. So that's something to think about as well. The JEPQ has been one of the first of these NASDAQ 100 ETFs that's out there on the market. So it's getting a little bit of good growth. It's getting a little bit of some capital appreciation. And that's something to think about. I mean, should you have one that's got a little bit of both? And should the taxes really matter with this one? Well, that's something to think about. It's got a low cost. It's got a pretty good yield. It's got a pretty good long-term price appreciation and annual total return. So those are some things to think about with JEPQ. Let's get on to our next covered call ETF. ETF number 3 is going to be GPIQ, which is the Goldman Sachs NASDAQ 100 Premium Income ETF. Now, this ETF is a little bit newer. It's been around since 2023, and the good thing about this is it doesn't try to cap the upside as much as all the others. Now, it does have a good portfolio, and it sells most of its portfolio from 25 to 50% of its portfolio at the money call options. So what that means is when we're talking about those call options, most people are doing out of the money, but at the money means like if Apple is selling at $200, they are trying to sell call options at about $200, and so it's getting tons and tons of premium, but it's only selling 25 to 50% of its portfolio, allowing the other 50% to capture some of the growth upside. And we can see that in year to date, which is about 2.88% in price appreciation. Now, if you add in their yield of about 9.85%, then you're getting a pretty good ETF that's doing pretty good. I mean, since its inception, GPIQ has done about 58% in total return. Now, it's one of the best on this list. I mean, it's got a yield of about 9.85% with a price appreciation of 2.88% year to date. But since its inception, it's done the best out of all of these. So it's great news. I mean, we're looking at ETF that's selling 25 to 50% of its assets as at the money. So it's making the most premium possible. Then it's selling the other 50% of its assets to get some of that capital appreciation and to not have such a capped upside. So it's a great one. Now, the expense ratio is sitting at a 0.29%. So it's the cheapest on this list. Now, it may not stay that way for the longest, but right now it's the cheapest on this list. And the cool thing is GPIQ is using some of the same tax strategies as QQQI. So if you like QQQI and its tax strategy, GPIQ is doing the same exact thing. It just doesn't have as much assets under management as QQQI, but it's got great price appreciation and it doesn't have a capped upside, and it's got the cheapest expense ratio on this list. So that is great news for this great ETF. Now, hey guys, if you really enjoy some of this content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. And if you really want to help support this channel, you can join as a member. Membership is only $2.99, which is basically 1 cup of coffee every single month. And that can help support this channel so we can continue to create great content to help you do better. All right, let's get back to our video. Now let's do a head-to-head comparison of all 3 of these funds to see which one could be the best one for you guys. We're going to be taking a look at income generation, price appreciation, total return, expense ratio, and some others to see which one could be the best ETF that you could be adding to your portfolio. Now, with income generation, we have QQQI doing about 13.67%. We have GPIQ doing about 9.85%, and JEPQ doing about 11.09%. So the winner is going to be QQQI. So if you're looking for the best income producer, QQQI is the best one. When we're looking at price appreciation, we're looking at year-to-date price appreciation. QQQI is doing about 1.55%. GPIQ is doing about 2.88%, and JEPQ is doing about negative 1.77%. For price appreciation, GPIQ is the winner. Now, with total return, these have incepted in different time frames. QQQI is the newest. GPIQ is the second newest in 2023, and JEPQ is from 2022. So we're gonna have some different metrics. Right now, QQQI has done about 19% the last year in total return, which is amazing. So it wins in that category. With since its inception, JEPQ has done about 16.7% annually. But with the total return since its inception in the total is a GPIQ with a 58% total return over it since its inception. It's beating both QQQI and JEPQ. So that means it is the winner for total return, beating all three of these. Now QQQI is winning in the total return for the 1 year. JEPQ is winning since its average for the last 3 years. So those are some things to think about. Now when we're looking at expense ratio, QQQI has an expense ratio of 0.68%. GPIQ has an expense ratio of 0.29%, and JEPQ has an expense ratio of 0.35%. That means GPIQ wins on expense ratio. Now, it may change its expense ratio later on, but it's winning right now. Now with assets under management, JEPQ has about 29 billion assets under management. QQQI has about 3.94 billion assets under management. And GPIQ has about 1.28 billion in assets under management. Right now, JEPQ is the most established ETF on this, with QQQI coming up second and GPIQ coming up third. Now the $1 million question is, which covered call ETF fits your portfolio and your strategy? First of all, we have QQQI. QQQI is for those that are looking for income. It's got the highest yield. It's for those that are retirees probably. Like I said, it's got the highest yield, and so for those that are looking for income now and income later on in the future, QQQI can fit that bill. So for those that are looking for some good income, QQQI is a great ETF to buy and hold. Now, if you want to choose JEPQ, JEPQ is with an established big-time brokerage company like JP Morgan. So it's a very big institution, so it's very established. Now, this ETF is also very established since it's been around since 2022. It is the oldest of these covered call ETFs. Now, this ETF also has a good balance of growth and yield, and we have seen this in the annual growth of this ETF with about 16.7% annually since its inception. So that's good news to you guys. And it's still got a pretty good yield of 11.09%. It's also got a lower fee of 0.35%. So if you're looking for something that's established, great company, a low expense ratio, and JEPQ could be the great ETF that you can buy and hold and put in your portfolio. Now, if you want to choose GPIQ, you're choosing also a great established company with Goldman Sachs. Now, this ETF is a little bit different than all the other twos, as in it tries to capture some of that growth with the price appreciation of 50% of its portfolio, and it's selling more at the money calls instead of out of the money calls. So you are getting a high premium and you're getting some price appreciation with this ETF. It's got a low expense ratio of 0.29%. So you're getting a lot of growth, yield, price appreciation, and it's had a total return of 58% since its inception. So it's a growing ETF that you could buy and hold and put in your portfolio. Now, there are risks to all these ETFs, and all these ETFs have some risk as in capped upside. They have the potential to be kind of complex. Some of these may not always guarantee that you're gonna get that 13, 14%, or maybe even 10%. There's a possibility that there could be some NAV erosion in the future. With that capped upside, we could see that the principal of your investment could go sideways or even down. That's a possibility. So those are all certain risks that are part of these covered call ETFs. So which covered call ETF is right for you? Now, if we're looking for income, QQQI. If we're looking for establishment, JEPQ. If you're looking for both growth and income, GPIQ. Personally, what I think GPIQ is the best one on this list. Now, the reason I say that is because it doesn't have as much capped upside, and that's why I like it, because like you can see, QQQ is up 11.35% yearly. Now, GPIQ is up 2.88%, while QQQI is only up 1.55%, and JEPQ is up Well, it's actually down 1.77%. So GPIQ is winning as its upside is not so capped. Now, those are some things I like. And I also like, 10% annual dividends and a great expense ratio of 0.29%. I know that expense ratio could go up, but right now it's the cheapest on this list. It's got the most price appreciation on this list, and it still has a great yield on this list. That is my pick of the day. Now let me know in the comments. You may disagree with me. Which is your favorite cover call ETF? Is it QQQI or JEPQ, or is it GPIQ? Those are some great cover call ETFs that you can buy and hold in your portfolio. Let me know in your comments, and if you really want to check out a great video, I made a video about these NEOS ETFs right here. Check it out, and I'll see you in our next video.